How to creatively use adjustment layers. Adjustment layers can modify the colour of an image. Now you can apply it to the entire image, but you can also apply it to just part of the image. Just use a selection. So I'm just using the rectangular marquee tool just to select part of the area, but you could of course use any of the other selection features, maybe elliptical, etc. So just create a selection. Now I could use image menu and adjustments, perfectly fine, but that's a destructive effect. It will be applied and that's it. The only solution is the undo. And of course, if you've done lots of other things after that, it's very hard to get rid of. So best thing is layer menu and new adjustment layer and go down to color lookup. Give it a name, click OK. So once you've done that, you'll see a properties panel appear. And of course, I could apply any of the other adjustments. I'm just using color lookup. You could have used the black and white one. I could have used hue and saturation. I'm just using, and of course, what you can do, you can apply multiple adjustments as well. I'm just going to go with one in this. You just quickly run through them. And you can see you can just change the adjustment, gold, crimson, and so on and so on. And they create some really interesting color effects, very quick and easy. And you can create your own color lookups if you wish. So you can always go to the layer menu and add some additional ones if you wish to do that. But what you can also do, you can use the move tool and you can move your adjustment. So you just move it around. So say you decide, you know what, I want that color effect to be slightly over, only on the middle part, you can move it. You can also resize it. So use the bounding box to transform it. And you can move that around. What you can also do, you can go to the layers panel and you can find that window menu and you can just go through the blending modes. So maybe go for darken or multiply. Some will work better than others. So just experiment, just run through them, just try different ones. You can see the slightly subtle different effect. Depends on the image, of course. So overlay difference. That's quite a dramatic difference there. More negative. Saturation and so on and so on. So you can vary those. And you can also vary the opacity as well in combination to the blending mode. You can just go and change the opacity as well. So you can reduce it down to virtually nothing. So you can see the original image. So it's just a subtle fade. You can also go over again to the edit menu and you can go down to transform. There's not many other commands there. And you can go for maybe distort or say warp. You can just go to those points there and you can just drag and modify the layer. It's just a simple layer. It's a very basic layer and you can warp it in all kinds of ways. Obviously, if you warp the central part, it will have no effect whatsoever. But if you warp around the edges, it will dramatically change the area of your design that's adjusted. And you can again go there. And you can do that to your heart's content. And again, you've still got rotate, you've still got perspective and distort, etc. You can undo, you can obviously cancel that if you wish. But what also you can do, you can go to the layer menu and you can go to layer style. Now, some will work better than others, but drop shadow is pretty effective with the adjustment. And what happens? It creates a shadow for your adjustment. You can move that around, manipulate it as the others. And of course, there are many other options there available, but I'm not going to show all those. But you can just, you've got your shadow there. Again, you can still move that around and the shadow will follow that, but you can create some very interesting color effects there. And so you can still continue to resize it. And you can always, of course, go over to the layers panel and deselect the drop shadow to remove it. What you can also do, you can go to the filter menu, and you can, because I haven't pressed return there, there's nothing available. Now I can go over to the filter menu and go down to, say, liquefied, but there's a number of other effects that work perfectly well as well. And what you see is that box there. And what you can do, you can manipulate it just using the standard tools. You can push it out there, go that way, push it in. Obviously, if you go into the center and just manipulate the white, make no difference whatsoever. But if you go around the edge, you can see you can modify the edge. Once you're happy with that, apply that. Take a few seconds to process, and then you can see the effect being added. So you've got a really more interesting adjustment layer to work with. You can still continue to move that, and you can see as you move it, the color of the image below gets changed. And you can still go over, if you go over to the layers panel and double click the adjustment, you can then manipulate that. So you can still change it at a later point. Also, what you can do, you can hold down the Alt or Option key and drag and just duplicate it, move it around. And you can create multiple adjustment layers. And you can again double click on that little box there, and you can change maybe grey tone for that one. So you see, because that one's above the other one, you see the adjustment layer, it's been modifying the underlying bit of the image there. Again, blue tone. Might go and change it to another one. Green. And you can go around all of those adjustments. And of course, you can always duplicate that if you wish by holding down the Alt or Option key and dragging. Of course, what you can also do, you can go to the filter menu, maybe if you selected one of those adjustments, and you can apply another effect. So you can just go to filter menu, distort, and maybe wave. Now, at the moment, there's hardly any difference whatsoever. But you, of course, can change the number of generators, the wavelength, and you can see the result in the preview, though not actually on the screen. Click OK, and then you can see the effect. So you can create some really interesting adjustment layers that you can then manipulate and move around and distort even more. And of course, once you've done that, what you can do, you can just go to the layer menu and flatten the image. And then, of course, what you can do exactly the same. You can go over to the selection tools and select another area and apply another adjustment if you wish at a later point. And you can see all of the layers there. And of course, they're layers. They're still active. You can still remove them at any point. Hope you found this of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator, and many others. Please add some comments. Always appreciated. A dislike or like. Thank you much.